당장 가라 아니나?
This man was starved for many days at sea. When the fishermen found him, everyone was nauseous because he had used his companion as food for survival. When they saved him, no one knew that he would later shake up Song Gang-noon's underground power. First of all, the boss Song Gang-noon was a 70-year-old man. He was the largest shareholder of Tae-sik Gang. There were 3 people under him at that time. The oldest was bald and docile. The second oldest was named Gil-sok, intelligent and sharp. And the third oldest was hot-tempered. The 3 were divided equally to manage when the oldest went back to his hometown to live in seclusion. Their day was nothing special. Today, Gil-sok came to find the oldest to borrow an excavator. He planned to use it to hold his brother's wedding, but it turned out that the excavator's function was to hang the groom upside down. The groom had to show his love to the bride until Gil-sok felt he had had enough. While Gil-sok was enjoying himself, a junior came up to report something. After that, everyone saw Gil-sok's expression change. He hurriedly went to a bar. There, Gil-sok met his close friend, the police chief. It turned out that Gil-sok's juniors gathered at this bar to do drugs together. Then they were raided by the police. If the police chief's men hadn't blocked the information, Gil-sok's juniors would have had a hard time surviving. At this point, Gil-sok had no choice but to apologize to his close friend. The police chief said that this was the first time, so he wouldn't pursue the matter. Then he and his subordinates left. The third brother quickly arrived at the bar, which was the third brother's area of responsibility. When he saw Gil-sok's juniors debauching in his place, the third brother was very angry. He immediately called someone to clean up. Then, he got angry with Gil-sok. However, Gil-sok also said that part of the fault was the third brother. When his brothers bought drugs to sell, the 2 argued to the point that the eldest Musang had to mediate. The 3 of them's big brother immediately went to see the 3 of them that night because of this. This made the 3 of them go crazy. He grabbed each of them by the head and scolded them one by one, and also warned the third brother that if he made another bag of drugs on this land, one day the third brother would die. Then he scolded Musang again for being the older brother and letting the 2 younger brothers argue. The 3 of them were originally this man's juniors. After being divided shares, each of them managed a separate area. This was Min-sok, a debt collector who had been working for more than 10 years. Today he came to see the chairman, who used to be his big brother, to ask for a share of the shares. The chairman is the second largest shareholder of the state after the 3 Gil-sok brothers' boss, but he said he gave his share to someone else to keep. Since the chairman split off to establish his own company, the chairman has given him everything he needs. Seeing that he couldn't get what he wanted,
대화를 싫어해요.
the secretary next to him couldn't escape being implicated either. The man who went with Min-sok initially thought he couldn't do anything, but it turned out that he was brought along by Min-sok for a reason. When the police arrived, Min-sok had disappeared, and the other man was sitting there, handing his hand to the police to be arrested and take the blame for Min-sok. The reason was because he owed a huge amount of money to Min-sok's company, so the man agreed to this condition in order to pay off his debt. On this side, Gil-sok went to meet his boss, who took him on a tour of the resort he had been dreaming of for many years. Finally, he offered to let Gil-sok manage the resort, but Gil-sok immediately refused. Gil-sok said that according to the rules, this place would be managed by the third brother. The boss immediately dismissed his outdated rules and said that recently there was a very hateful person in the gang, but the boss didn't want them to kill anymore. As for Min-sok, after committing the crime, he was still lying next to his lover Bo-lam. The second largest shareholder was no longer there, so he would naturally take over all those shares. Chairman Shin was also a junior under Min-sok's boss. After hearing that his boss had suddenly died, he went to investigate the perpetrator. Then he discovered that the person who confessed owed a huge amount of money to Min-sok's debt collection company. Without a doubt, he assumed that Min-sok was the culprit of this incident, but he didn't have Min-sok's information. Then, Min-sok personally went to meet Gil-sok to discuss business. Although Min-sok was the second largest shareholder, Gil-sok Gil-suk didn't take him seriously. Here their brothers are the biggest shareholders, and he also doesn't want to get involved with drug dealers. Min-suk heard that and said he understood and left. In the blink of an eye, it was the wedding day of the Gil-seok family's juniors. The big day was ruined by the third brother. It turned out that he already knew about the big brother handing over the resort to Gil-seok. When the third brother told the first brother Musang about this, Musang seemed resigned because after all, the property was handed over to them by the big brother. But the third brother couldn't accept this. On this side, Min-seok and Bo Lam seemed to have lost patience with her when she only paid the interest with affection and didn't pay the principal. That's why he brought her to the big brother of the three Gil-seok brothers. Sure enough, after a while of chatting, he revealed his ambition to the biggest shareholder of the Tae-sik gang. The strength of a 70-year-old man couldn't compete with him. Min-seok finally left, leaving Bo Lam to witness the horrifying scene. The boss was taken to the emergency room immediately after that. Gil-seok waited outside, only to receive the news that the boss had died. Gil-seok went to the police station that rainy night. When he arrived, he grabbed Bo Lam's shirt. Although Min-seok committed the crime, the one who turned himself in was Bo Lam. This time, she did not pay interest anymore. She would pay the principal to Min-seok with her life. Gil-seok saw Bo Lam. He did not understand why she attacked his boss. Gil-seok went crazy and wanted to kill her, but was stopped by the police. After that, the boss's funeral took place. The three brothers did not believe that he would end up like that. The atmosphere of mourning filled the Tae-sik gang. The story did not stop there. Gil-seok's police friend told him about what they had investigated. The person who confessed owed a huge amount of money, and the debt collection company was Min-seok's company. There was no evidence, so the police chief advised him to wait. But when Gil-seok told the other two brothers about this, the hot-tempered third brother could no longer be patient. He was too sad about the departure of his boss. Gil-seok decided to cooperate with the police to eliminate Min-seok. He ordered his subordinates to capture Min-seok's henchmen for interrogation. After Gil-seok grasped their weakness, he easily got the time and place of Min-seok's drug transaction. This information was immediately transferred to the police chief. Based on that, they successfully followed the car that Min-seok's gang used for the transaction. But soon, Min-seok's subordinates discovered that the police were following them, so they immediately called Min-seok. Then the police saw them getting out of the car with drugs. They immediately followed closely according to their superior's instructions. The market looked like a maze, but it was easy to divide up the actions. Thanks to the blocking tactic, the police soon caught 3 people, but when they opened the package to check, the whole team realized they had been tricked. There were no drugs in the packages they brought, only coffee and pu-ersh tea. The underlings laughed at the police. The police had no choice but to let them go. Then one of the underlings returned to the gas station. It turned out that the employee there was also Min-seok's person. She gave the underling a package, which contained real drugs. Min-seok called someone and ordered a change in tactics. When the third brother received news that the police had failed, he immediately brought a stick and led his underlings to deal with Min-seok. When he turned to look at the first brother, Musang, he saw that he was still sitting calmly. The third brother was injured and hiding in a corner. He called Gil-seok to express his belated regret that he had not treated his big brother better before. This was probably the last thing he could do for Gil-seok. Seeing the chaos on the other end of the line, Gil-seok felt something was wrong. Gil-seok's side was also in danger. When the third brother's call had just ended, his subordinate was seriously injured. When the police arrived, the fight was over, and there were heavy losses all around. The police chief mocked Min-seok for finding a loyal henchman, and Musang took the initiative to kill the person he wanted without his orders. But Min-seok denied that it was his order. He simply asked Musang a question: was it okay for Gil-seok to monopolize the resort? At the same time, he also added that if there was any information about Gil-seok, remember to tell him. The police chief went to see Bo Lam, who had taken the blame from from Min Seo. He persuaded her to tell the truth about Min Seok's crimes, but she herself had a huge debt, and she didn't want to use her body to pay off the debt anymore, so she resolutely refused the police chief. After the fight, Gil-suk returned to visit his big brother's grave. Then he went to see Min Seok to talk fairly. Gil-suk divided the area fairly. Each person kept their own shares. He suggested that both sides stop fighting, but it seemed that what Min Seok wanted was not this. Next, Gil-suk went to see the police chief. As a good friend, the police chief advised him not to break the law, because by then, Gil-suk would no longer be an exception to the police chief, and let the police chief handle everything. But Gil-suk did not believe his friend's words, and in his heart, he had already decided to take revenge. Gil-suk made an appointment to meet Chairman Shin, who had the second largest share after him. Gil-suk sought help from Chairman Shin but was refused. He said that no matter what the outcome was, he would forever be the second largest shareholder. Gil-suk had no choice but to make a deal. He said that if Min Seok died, his shares would be given to Chairman Shin, and Gil-suk would take Min Seok's share. This condition was enough for Chairman Shin to agree. Soon after, the news of Gil-suk's association with Chairman Shin spread everywhere. He also opened a new office in Chairman Shin's place. Min Seok's subordinates knew about it and immediately reported it to their big brother. Musang also knew a little bit of the news while sitting at home. Today, Gil-suk came to see Musang. He asked him why he let things come to this point, but Musang didn't feel guilty. Musang's reason was only greed. However, he also asked Gil-suk to agree to one thing, which was that Gil-suk should hold on to the foundation they built, and he shouldn't let it fall into the hands of others, even if it was Chairman Shin. After that, Gil-suk left without saying a word. His subordinates avenged the third brother's hatred for him. Min Seok's side also made a move. He sent his subordinates to Gil-suk's office to sabotage it, but they didn't expect this to be a trap. Gil-suk's subordinates were waiting there. He locked Min Seok and his gang up and then set fire to his newly opened office. They, along with Chairman Shin's subordinates, quickly dealt with Min Seok's close subordinate. The police raided Min Seok's place. The police chief issued an arrest warrant for Min Seok for drug possession. The police quickly escorted him to the police station. Unexpectedly, Chairman Shin's subordinate received a phone call from his boss. He received a request to guarantee that after Min Seok died, Gil-suk would also die. It seemed that Gil-suk had teamed up with the wrong kind of people. Chairman Shin unexpectedly encountered Min Seok's subordinates in the elevator, but it turned out that they were on the same side. He had planned to kill both Min Seok and Gil-suk at the same time. Unexpectedly, the plan failed when Gil-suk's underlings discovered it, and the result for these two traitors was going to hell together. At the same time, Gil-suk also ordered his juniors to deal with Chairman Shin's men. As for Gil-suk, he blocked the police chief's car when they were escorting Min Seok to the police station. The police chief also arrested him to prevent Gil-suk from breaking the law. But Gil-suk had no other choice, because now the lives of his brothers were on his shoulders. In the end, he still let the police chief go. Unexpectedly, before they could go far, when he faced Gil-suk, Gil-suk asked him if he felt wronged. Min Seok immediately said that with a person like him, only a smart and calculating head could punish him. This result seemed very light to Min Seok. In the end, Gil-suk killed him the same way he did to his brothers. Witnessing his friend's uncontrolled rebellion, the police chief felt a loss. Gil-suk, from a person with no dirt on his hands, is now forever on a path of no return. The friendship of the two is considered an intersection that cannot go together. The movie ends here. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, and see you again.